Support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum. Located in Jennings City Hall, the museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. Additional support for the Louisiana Veterans Coming Home Project provided by Entergy. Active duty, reservist, and military veterans make up nearly 10% of Entergy's Louisiana workforce. Entergy values the dedication, discipline, and skills of these brave men and women. Entergy and veterans, together we power life. And by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.
Any legitimate viewer should show only the disk of the sun surrounded by complete black.
In advance of a once-in-a-lifetime solar eclipse, the build-up, the best places to watch, and how to view it safely. Hi everyone, I'm Andre Morrow. In a moment, we're going to take you to an observatory in Baton Rouge for more on Monday's Great American Eclipse. Right now on the state we're in, Tulane's basketball team was in Barcelona during Thursday's deadly terrorist attack. The Green Wave and 3 other U.S. teams touring Spain are all safe. Investigators are still untangling the chain of events that marked the worst terrorist attack on Spain in a decade. Now a look at the week's other headlines. White supremacists represent the very worst of society. Hate and racism, pure and simple. That tweet from Governor John Bel Edwards reacting to the deadly violence in Charlottesville, Virginia, and the fallout following clashes between hate groups and their protesters. Said Majority Whip Steve Scalise on Twitter, there must be no tolerance for racism in our nation. Early this week, HUD Secretary Ben Carson was in Metro Baton Rouge to look at areas hit hard by flooding in August of 2016. Specifically, he spent time in Denham Springs, where 90% of the homes took on water. Carson was surrounded by Governor Edwards, Senator John Kennedy, and Representative Garrett Graves. He said the $1.7 billion in recovery money for the state has been slowed by government red tape and hurdles in the system, but believes it will get to where it needs to go.
Of all the states, I don't think any has more experience in dealing with disasters than Louisiana. And that's one of the reasons that we wanted to come here, because there's a lot of knowledge here that can be spread around to the rest of the country.
Senator Bill Cassidy told this week's Baton Rouge Press Club the latest on what he says are chances for a sweeping overhaul to the nation's healthcare system. Cassidy calls Medicare a black hole, with costs, he says, that crowd out other needs. He can't say if the proposal he's pushing for would gain enough traction to make a difference, but said he guarantees he'll keep fighting for a plan that returns power to states, to patients, and makes sense financially.
What am I doing with both Lindsey Graham and Dean Heller? Well, first I'll say that we're about the only game left in town. Justin Haskins is a commentator for the Washington Examiner, a conservative newspaper in D.C. Ross Douthat similarly is for the New York Times, and both have basically said the only chance Republicans have left for replace would be the Graham-Cassidy-Heller amendment.
Another ranking that leaves a stain on Louisiana. A World Resources Institute report on global warming ranks our state number 8 in the U.S., accounting for greenhouse gas emissions. We're among the 10 states responsible for almost half of all the emissions, with Texas and California being the top 2. This is Harvey, who is a quarantine approval away from becoming Mike the 7th, LSU's new live tiger mascot. A rescue sanctuary in Florida donated the 11-month-old tiger to LSU. The LSU Vet School managed to slip Harvey into the Tiger Habitat Night House without fanfare this week. The habitat is getting an almost $1 million facelift. Well, classes for most Louisiana colleges begin next week, and students with top scholarships will have their tuition fully funded. That was not the case in the last semester. Lawmakers have put together a task force to see what changes they can make to stabilize and to improve the program.
It becomes a real challenge, every year to come up with that much money, and it becomes a big political football too. And so it becomes the center of a controversy almost every legislative session that they're trying to craft a budget.
TOPS was basically the number one reason I stayed here in Louisiana, just because I would be able to get funding here and I wouldn't have to think about out-of-state tuition, out-of-state fees, and staying here in Louisiana, everything would basically be covered with my tuition.
Well, I think TOPS is fulfilling the goal. The problem is it's grown financially. And a year ago, we were not able to fully fund TOPS for the first time. So to keep the program financially stable for the long run, I think we need to make some changes to tighten up the program.
And a reminder for you, you can catch more on this topic from this month's episode of Louisiana Public Square, Studying TOPS. It airs right here on LPB next Wednesday. That's the 23rd of the month at 7 p.m. You know, Innovation Park at LSU operates a number of incubators to stimulate job growth in the state. Now, another program they've launched is working to help veterans who want to launch a successful small business. Governor Edwards, also the State Economic Development, are on board with this in the Louisiana Veteran Entrepreneurs Program. Charlie D'Agostino, LSU Innovation Park celebrating 29 years. You have been the head of it, the forefront of it, and now doing something new, helping Louisiana veterans.
Absolutely. We're so excited about being able to launch this in our 29th year. And what we've done is put together a program to help our veterans in the state of Louisiana who have an entrepreneurial mission, wish,
like
desire, that have something they want to do. We're going to help them actually launch that business.
So what's involved in helping launch a business? And by the way, this is modeled somewhat after a program you were involved in nationally that Syracuse University
Absolutely. What a few years ago, Syracuse University enrolled LSU into their program through the Stevenson Entrepreneurship Institute, part of the College of Business and the College of Business's Executive Education, and we worked hand in hand with them to bring in these disabled veterans from all over the country.
And this was a nationwide
program. There are only 10 universities in the nation who are approved by Syracuse to deliver this, so it's really an honor for us to be part of that. And so we get a number of veterans coming in every year, but they come in from all over the country. And so what we've decided is that this is great. We're going to continue to work the Syracuse program, but we want to do something for our Louisiana veterans.
We have partnered with Louisiana Economic Development.
Louisiana Economic Development
the
actually
signed a bill into law.
The governor, Louisiana, and Louisiana Veterans Affairs, and the Louisiana National Guard.
Yeah.
So we have the military component, the support from economic development, and then LSU with the College of Business and Executive Ed and our LSU Innovation Park have put together this program, and it's an online portion that will end up in a boot camp face-to-face with these veterans.
So someone hears about this, and so they go online and they fill out a form and they contact you. Absolutely. Then what happens?
Well, they actually go to our website, the LSU website, and look for the LSU Innovation Park. There's a click for the Louisiana Veterans Entrepreneurship Program, and they can enroll. And then we will actually screen the applicants, get more questions, more information, and then once they're accepted, and we'll actually start that phase of it on September 12th. And they would actually do a 3-week online course on how to start your business, how to legally structure it, how to get financing, marketing, all the different aspects. And our team will be coaching them and working with them through the online program.
But online, this is not in person yet.
And not yet. And then on October 17th, we will actually have the first boot camp in BatonRouge.
I like the way you call it a boot camp too.
And that's military. Well, that's what our Syracuse program is, the entrepreneurship boot camp for veterans with disabilities.
Yeah, but when they come to the boot camp, then what happens?
They get an intensive day to 2-day program, and a lot of it's hands-on. So I'll have my MBA grad students, we'll have executive ed, people from the College of Business, my staff who are business counselors, working with these veterans one-on-one and really finalizing their business plan. We'll bring in angel investors, banks, people that tell them this is what you have to do to get funding for your idea. And then we will actually, after the program's over and they go back home, whether it's in Bunkie or Bastrop or wherever, we will connect them with a resource in their own hometown to follow up. And of course they have access to us as well online.
As we watch this, we're showing some pictures of the LSU program, which is not just for veterans, but for anyone who's wanting to start a business or nurture one.
The pitch competition is, when you go before a bank, a investor, your uncle that's rich, and you want to sell them on your business idea, then you need to know how to make that pitch. And so we're going to actually coach them on how to present your idea, how to tell about why you're the right person to start that company and why they should invest in it.
What's been the greatest factor that's made Innovation Park such a success? Also a secret to a lot of people, but it is a phenomenal thing that LSU does and that you've spearheaded.
Yeah, thank you. I think the biggest success is that we are able to connect people, these entrepreneurs and people that are small business people, with very smart people. Well, I can pull in attorneys, I can pull in CPAs, I can pull in faculty, I can pull in successful business people. So we have this network. That's my strength, and that's what I offer to all of these companies that come through our program.
Well, a blessing for veterans to be able to share in that success.
Well, we owe them. We owe them. We need to give them something back. They do a lot for us.
All right, Charlie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Program.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Now, this story is part of Veterans Coming Home. It's LPB's ongoing coverage of issues affecting Louisiana's post 9/11 veterans. It's made possible through the support of Entergy. For more stories, visit veterans.lpb.org. With North Korea threatening to fire missiles at Guam, northwest Louisiana's Barksdale Air Force Base is another target, housing the Global Strike Command and the nation's fleet of B-52s. The B-52 aircraft and engineers at Barksdale were at the forefront of America's most unpopular war, Vietnam. The red symbols on this B-52 at Barksdale Air Force Base in Shreveport indicate the number of bombing runs or sorties the bomber flew during the Vietnam War. Despite the invaluable part the B-52 would eventually play in the Vietnam conflict, there was debate early on about whether the aircraft should be deployed to the country.
Worldwide, the bomber was known as a nuclear-capable bomber, so it might project the wrong image to nations around, throughout the Southeast Asia area.
Sean Bohannon is a staff historian for the Air Force Global Strike Command, headquartered at Barksdale. After high-level discussions, Bohannon says a contingency force of the nation's B-52s, including those at Barksdale, was modified to carry conventional bombs.
Through these series of modifications, they were able to increase the bomb load to up to 24 externally hung bombs, which effectively doubled the bombing capacity of that aircraft.
To hit targets, B-52s rely on visual reference points on the ground. This is nearly impossible in Vietnam, where dense foliage covers most of the country. The first combat evaluation group, based out of Barksdale, solved the problem by reconfiguring a radar system that it used to score pilots' accuracy in mock bombing runs.
So they used this radar bomb scoring equipment in a reverse order. It created a signal that the B-52s could home in on and fly to their target points. They literally followed the beam in, and it gave them very precise aim points to engage.
Combat Sky Spot was the name for these radar sites placed in Vietnam. The reconfigured system ultimately guided in 75% of every B-52 sortie. Ernest DeWolf operated the radar at Dong Ha in North Vietnam.
When I would get the coordinates of a target, I would certify it and make sure it got put on our tracking board properly, so when we locked onto the airplanes, we could direct them to it and drop the bombs within 5 feet.
Following the breakdown of peace talks in December of 1972, President Richard Nixon ordered Operation Linebacker 2, a full-scale air assault on North Vietnam. Phil Blofus, a B-52 navigator in Guam, remembers attending a special briefing on December 16th.
It was very quiet, and a briefer came up and he says, "Your target for tomorrow is Hanoi." And there was a lull in the briefing room. We all wanted to go into Hanoi. We've been wanting to go into Hanoi for years, and of course the restrictions that we couldn't go in.
When the operation began on the 18th, Blaufus says the B-52s created a taxi line similar to a commercial runway.
We had 87 B-52s taking off in 3 ship cells, 10 minutes apart, and the launching of the force from Guam took over 2 hours to launch all the aircraft. We flew about a 10 and a half hour round trip, only broken up by about 15 minutes of excitement when you're going over Hanoi.
The North Vietnamese retaliated with surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs, provided by the Soviet Union. Clifford Henry was a B-52 pilot who eventually retired in Louisiana.
We ended up getting hit pretty hard. When we were flying over there, I think in 11 days we lost 15 B-52s. I think only one of them was shot down by a MiG, which the North Vietnamese were flying. The others were shot down by SAMs.
Blaufus and his crew dug in their heels on the second day when the decision was made to fly the exact same bombing routes.
We're not going to go in the same way because they know where we are and where we're going to be. The only stipulation they made, they said, well, you can change your altitudes. So instead of going in at 35,000 feet, we went in at 30,000 feet. And the missiles were going over the top of us, and which saved a lot of lives because we didn't lose anybody the second day.
The North Vietnamese decided to investigate why they weren't hitting anything.
So they sent a MiG aircraft up to fly on our wing to relay the altitude information back to the command and control. But with the support of what we called the Wild Weasel, they laid tinfoil called chaff in front of our aircraft where we could see through it, but they couldn't see us.
The tin foil distorted the North Vietnamese radar readings and kept them from gathering any useful information.
It was called the 11-Day War, and the only day we were down was Christmas Day, and that wasn't really to celebrate the birth of the Christ child. We needed maintenance. We needed help on getting the aircraft all together for the continuance.
After the Christmas Day pause, Nixon ordered the resumption of Linebacker 2 until December 29th. It achieved its goal of bringing the North Vietnamese back to the negotiating table to conclude the Paris peace talks, but the losses to the U.S. were heavy.
33 crew members were killed, 33 more were taken prisoner, and over 25 were ultimately rescued when their damaged aircraft went down in neighboring countries.
A Linebacker 2 memorial on the grounds of Barksdale commemorates the operation and pays tribute to the crew members who sacrificed their lives in this ultimate push towards peace. The Ken Burns film series, The Vietnam War, premieres on LPB and PBS this September 17th at 7 p.m. Well, for a moment during Monday's Great American Eclipse, it will appear that the moon is taking a bite out of the sun, because 1918 was the last time a total solar eclipse could be viewed coast to coast. It's being hailed as a once-in-a-lifetime event. We're counting it down to when the two celestial spheres we most depend upon begin their rare outer space waltz.
The dust of the moon.
Astronomy compels the soul to look upward. You can't miss Plato's words on the spiral staircase at Highland Road Park Observatory.
When was this place built?
What compelled us up the stairs to see the 20-inch telescope under the observatory's retractable dome is the mania surrounding the approach of Monday's eclipse. It clearly has observatory manager Chris Kersey pumped up, and he's expecting a packed house, maybe 1,000 people, to watch it.
Remember, the moon shadow is racing across the Earth, and it will race off the Pacific Ocean onto land at the beaches in Oregon at, I think, about 2,500 miles an hour. In Oregon, early in the morning, their morning, race through Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska. From what I understand, Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska have the best chance of clear skies. Then a little bit of Kansas, I think, Kentucky and Tennessee, a little bit of Georgia, and then we'll exit the swamps of South Carolina and then go out into the Atlantic Ocean. NASA actually is going to have a couple of jets that are going to keep track with the path of totality as fast as they can. They won't be able to keep up with it. They can't. People standing on the ground in the path of totality will have a maximum coverage of 2.5 minutes, but these jets are going to give themselves 7.5.
Baton Rouge is not in the prime viewing area, even if skies here are clear. Kersey says about 75 to 80% coverage of the sun. But that is not dimming the excitement at all. From as far back as we know, solar eclipses have created a stir, fascinating and frightening mankind.
I understand that a lot of ancient peoples did panic, and they had rituals to get rid of the demon or the dragon. You know, some cultures thought that there's a dragon swallowing the sun, other people thought other things, but they were not very much smiled upon.
Today, we know what's also not smiled upon and what is downright dangerous about looking at a solar eclipse. Don't look without the correct eye protection.
LSU Physics has a wonderful web page called Louisiana Teaches the Eclipse. There are several downloadable PDFs there for making homemade projection devices that are 100% safe. As far as using solar viewers, if you're lucky enough to get them, follow the instructions to the letter. Any legitimate viewer should show only the disk of the sun surrounded by complete black. If the background that you see through a viewer is slightly brighter pinkish and the sun is blurry, discard them because you have a bad viewer. With a telescope, with a solar filter, and with a solar viewer, which looks like cardboard sunglasses, you're looking straight at the sun. These filters, these factory filters and these good viewers block out over 99% of the sunlight. That's the only light that your eyes can take when looking directly at the sun.
The eclipse will begin at a few minutes before noon and end a few minutes before 3 p.m. Baton Rouge time, with the peak viewing time here at about 1:30. And what about some of the other methods of viewing?
Hey, a colander from your kitchen. Don't look at the sun through the colander, but hold it out, let the sun go through it and project it onto it. And hey, if you don't have a sidewalk, bring something out with you like a flat, white, bright sheet. You will see a bunch of little eclipses. How about a piece of cardstock with a tiny bit of hole in it?
Because that's what you normally see, right?
Yeah, you can't use anything like a hole puncher. A hole from a hole puncher is going to be too big,
okay.
But maybe the tip of an ice pick,
right.
Maybe the tip of a tool out of your garage. You know, experiment today and tomorrow, because you know those projection devices, they're not just for eclipses.
Right.
You can use them for looking at the sun at any time.
Now, on Eclipse Day, the first total solar eclipse across the continental U.S., you can watch special coverage of this spectacular cosmic event on Nova's Eclipse Over America. It's Monday night, August 21st at 8 o'clock here on LPB. And by the way, AAA is forecasting that highway travel this weekend in advance of Monday will be as heavy as the heaviest holiday travel period. The reason? The hundreds of millions of Americans and people from outside America trying to get into or closer to that 60-mile wide strip on Monday, which will have the 100% totality. Good luck on that. And that is our show for this week. Remember, you can watch LPB on demand on your phone or tablet with our LPB Anywhere app. The download is free from your app store. You can catch LPB news and public affairs shows as well as other Louisiana programs that you have come to enjoy over the years. And please like us on Facebook as well. For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. We thank you for watching. And we close tonight on Louisiana Postcard, photographer Rex Q. Fortenberry, and part 2 of Louisiana's Birds.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and visit lpb.org, where you can view more stories and leave us a comment. This program is available on DVD. Support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum. Located in Jennings City Hall, the museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. Additional support for the Louisiana Veterans Coming Home Project provided by Entergy. Active duty, reservist, and military veterans make up nearly 10% of Entergy's Louisiana workforce. Entergy values the dedication, discipline, and skills of these brave men and women. Entergy and veterans, together we power life. And by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.